Hey Nintendo, Nintendo. Hey YouTube. It's Matthew, and Eurogamer.net has released the Switch's lineup, which I have right here on the screen. I'm gonna uh put a link in the description so you guys can see it. And just going through these lineups, it doesn't look promising. I mean, the lineup for the Switch, in my opinion, it's a little better than the Wii U's lineup, a little stronger, but that lineup that I see, it's not enough to propel the Switch and make people want to get it, want to buy it. Um, Games are very important to a console, obviously, because what good is a video game console if you have no games to play it? And what good are the games if they don't really capitalize on the hardware of the Switch, as well as software of the Switch and the engine that it's used on? So, um, these are probably going to be like my games that I want to see on the Switch, games that will make me want to personally buy the Nintendo Switch, and I think these are games that will make other people want to buy the Switch. Um, Start off, this list is not in any way, shape, or form like this is not like a top 10 or something. This game's not in any order whatsoever. It's just my own personal preference. So let's start off this list. The first game on this list, honestly, is a game that I actually used to play a lot on the original Wii. And it's a game I thoroughly enjoy on the Wii. And I think it's a game that will actually utilize the whole ecosystem of the Nintendo Switch, and I think it will use it well. That game is the Conduit. Now, it's a first person shooter game. If people aren't familiar with it, you guys should check it out. It's a pretty unique game aspect. It's not like Call of Duty, it's not like Halo. It's like a merger of the two. It's sci fi, but not too futuristic sci fi, and it's modern, but not too modern shooter. So it's like a merger of the two, and I think it will work well on the Switch. Now, it worked well for actually the Wii, and it was a great game. The sequel, Conduit Two, added the classic controller Pro, so it utilized the Wii perfectly. The one thing I did not like about it was the graphics. The graphics were like PS1, PS2, like in the hybrid of them too, and it didn't look good. But honestly, I was having too much fun with it to even notice it. But on the Switch, a game like the Conduit, a first-person shooter like the Conduit for the Switch, I think it'll be perfect. I think one, the graphics will look good. Two, first-person shooter games are not complicated. I mean, graphically, depending on the first-person shooter game you're talking about. But like, let's take a game like Call of Duty graphically. Those games graphically are not impressive, but the gameplays are. Look at Battlefield. Except for Battlefield One, I think they really outdid themselves. Battlefield One, but the games graphically, yeah, they're good, but it's about the gameplay. And I think a game like the Conduit would really, really work well with the Switch in terms of gameplay. It would appeal to the fact of the first-person shooter fans. It will appeal to the sci-fi fans, and also it will take advantage of what the Switch is trying to do in terms of like the whole eco gaming system. You could connect up to 8 switches locally. That will really help with the LAN parties. Just that whole gathering of people. Having them in a round table, just shooting first person, and also with the Switch's online capabilities, that will also really bridge the gap between people. And I think it's an awesome game, nonetheless. My next game, um, honestly, is a game also I played on the Wii. That I felt did not the Wii did not do the game justice, which is very weird to say, but it's true. Um, the Wii just technically it just couldn't compete on a graphical level with the PS3 and Xbox 360. But yet the Wii was still successful because of the games that it had. It had so much variety of games that I think that's really what it propelled to. And the fact that the motion controller, you know, that was a gimmick that worked at the time. So this game I feel would really do well on the Switch once again because of the way the Switch is marketed in terms of the Nintendo presentation. That game is The Last of Us. Now, The Last Story. Sorry, The Last of Us. The Last Story. Um, Now, an HD remake of The Last Story, honestly, I think would do the Switch. I think it will do the game justice, and it will help showcase the one, the graphical power of the Switch. Um, done right, I think it will really showcase the beauty of the Last Story in the game, and it could also propel the Switch into saying, look, even though it's graphically not as powerful as Xbox One and PS4, it could still deliver a beautiful game. I think The Last of Us, God, I can't get that game out of my mind. It's such an awesome game, but The Last Story, it could really propel the Switch into, okay, I should really look at this. Like, look how beautiful this game is. Look at the game itself. I mean, graphically, it's as beautiful as the Xbox One PS4. That's something that the Switch really needs, and I think a HD version of The Last Story would really do it. And also the way the game is played, um, I think an added feature is to actually utilize the whole local system connecting eight switches. The game has four characters. I think implementing that with the Switch, you have your four friends side by side, playing the last story, doing the missions, stuff like that. It will do the Switch justice because it would utilize the hardware properly, and I think it will be a great game. The next game on my list is a franchise that everybody knows. I mean, it's a very old franchise that has a very long history with Nintendo, and I'm talking about Final Fantasy. I don't care what. I don't care if it's a remake of old Final Fantasy game or ports like Final Fantasy 3, 4 ported onto the Switch. I don't care. I believe the Switch needs a Final Fantasy game. I honestly do. I mean, the last console Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy Crystal Bearers, I believe, which is for the Wii. And the game, honestly, I believe the game just used it was really used as a gimmick to showcase the Wii motion controller. Honestly, I honestly don't think they even tried their hardest to make that game. I honestly think it was just a gimmick for the Wii motion controller. But a Final Fantasy game, a true Final Fantasy game would bring people back to Nintendo because let's face the facts, Nintendo lost Final Fantasy. They lost it to their competitors, and it's a shame because Final Fantasy had a great run for the Nintendo consoles, and it was just due to the fact that Nintendo's whole strategy with their gaming consoles kind of made Square Inc. and SquareSoft at the before they became Square Inc. It just made them lose touch with Nintendo. They went with Sony, and eventually they went with Microsoft too because of the fact that you know Nintendo's hardware just couldn't make the game run the way the developers wanted it, which is one of the main reasons why they went with Sony Microsoft. So a true Final Fantasy game would do the Switch justice. Another game, and the Switch presentation. At the very end of it, I saw Street Fighter, and Street Fighter is on the list of their lineups. But one fighting game, not enough. And Street Fighter, honestly, because of Street Fighter Five, I think a lot of people lost faith in Capcom. So I don't think Street Fighter was the right way to go in terms of fighting game. But seeing that arcade style controller that I saw on Review Tech USA's video, which is one of the reasons why I have this game on the list because I think that game and this controller would kill it and it will bring the Switch. Like it will propel the Switch. And that game is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna step away. Gonna look at the screen for a second. It's sorry if I get this wrong. Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Um, Anybody who knows that franchise, it's like the Nintendo's version of Marvel versus Capcom. But I mean, you really think about it. That game on the Switch, we're talking about esports. We're talking about parties. We're talking about conventions. This game could bring all that, and it could really bring an eye on the Switch. because you have the local player support for the Switch, which is boom the 8 players one. You have the that Joy-Con controller. What else? Joy-Con controllers. You have the controller Pro. You just have all these different things, and honestly, the Switch needs games like these, games that are not a gimmick but true games. And Tatsunoko versus Capcom, I think, is one of them. Um, graphically, Marvel vs. Capcom games are not really that graphical, even though they're beautiful to look at. They're not that graphical. So Tatsunoko versus Capcom has that same mentality, even though it's not that graphical. It's not that realistic. The graphics you can still make them look nice. And you can still play them. This game I feel would be perfect for the Switch. It's just one of those games I feel that would be perfect. I'm talking about Monster Hunter. The Switch needs Monster Hunter. I don't care. Have a Monster Hunter game, a good Monster Hunter game, right there on the Switch. But people are gonna buy the Switch like crazy. I mean, Monster Hunter for the Wii sold. Monster Hunter for the 3DS, oof, sales were phenomenal. The Switch needs Monster Hunter. I mean, just going to the whole mentality of Monster Hunter, I could see it working on the Switch. I could see it working on the Switch graphically. I could see it working on the Switch for the whole, just the whole Switch ecosystem. I could see Monster Hunter working. I could see it working with the Joy-Con motion. I could see it working with the controller. I could see it working with just about almost every single feature the Switch has, which is what I believe the Switch needs right now. It doesn't need gimmick games. It doesn't need, you know, horrible last gen ports. It needs games that would utilize the Switch's hardware to the fullest. And I think Monster Hunter is one of those games. It has close to realism graphics as that style game can have. And even on the Wii, Monster Hunter tried looked great. Sure, I really wish it was HD. Thank God for emulators that I finally got to experience it in full HD. Well, 720 is my full HD, but imagine having a Monster Hunter game, full 1080 for your home, and you could just take that out, boom, play it with your friends on the go, continue the story, grab a few of your friends over, pop up the kickstand, boom, continue playing it, LAN parties, online, story mode if you like that. Monster Hunter has it all, which I think is what the Switch needs to actually drive. And if they could do it and not wait long enough, like they did with the Wii U for certain games to save it, it would work. This last game, no brainer. I mean, if you want something to sell, man, throw a Pokeball at it. I am sorry, but you you put a Pokemon game on the Switch, I don't care what you are, that sucker's gonna sell. I don't think I don't think I've seen any product that did not have a Pokemon logo on it that did not sell. Even Pokemon Go, with all of its craziness and all of its craziness, like people downloaded that game like crazy. People were playing it on buses. I mean, there were people getting into accidents because of that game. you know, Look at all the Pokemon games that are on the Nintendo's portable houses, the 3DS, the NDS, you know, the you know the Game Boys, even even the console versions of Pokemon, which is pretty much like a 3D add-on, just so that way you can see your Pokemon's in 3D and stuff like that. Those even sold. So if Nintendo could work with the Pokemon Company and make a unique Pokemon game for the Switch, not like ports of Sun and Moon and older, but a true unique Pokemon game that I honestly think it would sell like crazy. Because who doesn't like Pokemon? I mean, I, even the Pokemon haters have to admit the Pokemon franchise is gold. I've not seen a Pokemon franchise that has failed. I mean, maybe one, which would be Pokemon Go that truly failed. But you know, they are working on it, and now they're adding a lot of new features. Still, people want certain features, but imagine a first. This would probably be a first true home hybrid for the Switch, which is a Pokemon game. Boom, you're playing it at home. Boom, you're catching Pokemons, whatever, whatever, whatever. Boom, you take it on the go. You want to trade Pokemons with your friends. Boom, right there, Switch on Switch. It's that, like, something like that. I could see the Switch outselling PS4 and Xbox One. I could see it because come on, it's Pokemon for God's sake. So, um, there goes the end of the list. Um, Pretty much, what do you guys think? Do you think that the games I want on the Switch, do you agree with them? What games do you want on the Switch? What games do you see? Um, what games you actually not see, but what games you want on the Switch? I mean, just looking at this lineup, I mean, I see so much potential in the Switch, but I'm just concerned that Nintendo's just going to use it like the Wii U and not utilize it properly. So once again, guys, what do you want to see on the Switch? Do you like my list? I know it's a small list, but honestly, with the Switch, there's not that much, games that I honestly think Nintendo's going to use. So, once again, guys, like, dislike, share, comment below, guys. And as always, have an awesome day.